15 minutes of fame. Let's go.
This is 14A Sports Radio, broadcasted live, 15 minutes of fame, streaming on the internet via Ustream. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen.
It's weird without the beard volume too, right?
So as you can see, our usual host, Al Weird Beard Walsh, is he's not here. And where is he? He's at a wedding rehearsal for big supporters of the show, Dan Hampton and Steph Sealski, who are getting married on Friday. So we want to wish them, many years of matrimonial bliss.
Hopefully, a lot of drinks flowing, like they will be tonight at the
absolutely.
show. I mean,
you're about
we'll
15 minutes from Walsh,
later,
about 15 minutes away from Walsh embarrassing himself the first time right now.
Well, hopefully he can do better at Hampton's second wedding.
Can we see if we get like a buzzed Walsh to call in tonight, just to get his thoughts?
He said he's like, I'm going to try and disappear for 10 minutes and call in during a segment.
Well, he's going to get kicked out. Never mind. Disappear.
Well, he's going to
call for a ride.
He better be live streaming on his phone right now. I mean,
yeah, that's also something you can do. Is you can watch us live on the phone. Check us out at 14asports.com. But all right, let's get right into it. So Monday night, a great night of sports.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you
the
had
past
2
weeks too. I mean,
I mean, the playoffs, the baseball players have been unbelievable. You had 3 baseball games going on, all of which very entertaining. And then you had the New York Football Jets taking on the Atlanta Falcons.
The best team ever. Put them in the Super Bowl now.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was completely wrong so far on this team. I
mean, you and about everybody else. I would say.
Yeah, I agree. ESPN, the preseason, they had them ranked as the worst team in football. Mel Kiper, in the beginning of the season, called them a glorified expansion team. So no one had any expectations for the Jets. I actually predicted Rex Ryan was no doubt about it getting fired at the end of the year. No doubt about it.
Tom Coughlin, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So a little role reversal for these Jets and Giants this year, man.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
It's absolutely
100%.
crazy, but I was glued to the TV for that game because I had Atlanta in the suicide pool.
Thank
you, Mike Smith.
The suicide pool, we'll get into that real quick. And there's only 15 members left in the 14A suicide pool.
I'm still in it.
About half. There were about 30 before that Monday night game. 15 got knocked out with that Atlanta.
The Jets,
and is Mike Smith kidding me at that halftime? I mean, they get the holding call on 4th down, right? They go to Gonzalez, get the holding call, and then they run the ball, get that Jets defense. Take the points. Take the points.
It's halftime. You're not running the ball at all in that first half, and that's the best play you come up with there. No, you take the points. You're at home. You give them more momentum by going for the play and not getting anything than just taking the 3 and going in half down by 4.
And they did the same thing against New England the week before. They went for a 4th down, and they missed it then.
Yeah, you're not very good at this.
And you have Julio Jones, Roddy White, and Tony Gonzalez, and you run the ball with a 180-pound running back against maybe one of the best defensive lines in football, who were Mo Wilkerson dominated that game. Sheldon Richardson had a national coming out party. I mean, that Jets defensive line was dominating.
They're getting no push. They had like 9 yards rushing in the first. It was pathetic. That's your best play.
Mind. You got Julio Jones, Roddy White, and Tony Gonzalez. I mean, if you're going to go for it, put it in their hands. Put it in Matt Ryan's hands.
That's bread and butter. That was an extra point.
How about at the end of the game? Actually, they got bailed out with that holding call on 4th down. But after Julio Jones makes that one-handed catch, he's not in for the next 2 plays. Why is he not on the field? Like, are you kidding me?
I think we found out after the fact.
All right, well, he made the catch. Right, he's out for the season. And actually, a little later on in the show, I want to get into a fantasy scenario with him, a trade involving Julio Jones, but we'll get into that later.
I like it.
But if you could go and make a one-handed catch, you could be a decoy. Get out on the field. Just be out there.
Just stand there and make Cromartie cover you.
So, that was a brutal game. Great victory for the Jets. And how about what we're shaping up to for the Jets? Who would have thought the 3-2 Jets
at home.
So now they play Pittsburgh. They beat Pittsburgh. New England, right, plays New Orleans. Yeah. If New England loses to New Orleans, then you got the Jets, Pats for control of that division. And really, who would have thought that?
Yeah.
I mean, the National Football League, man, parity abound.
You're right.
Geno
Rex
Smith.
Ryan is saving his job.
Geno Smith might be legit too, which I was kind of skeptical on, especially with the weapons that he has. But
Well, like I was telling you, Marty Morner, he's a great play caller. He knows how to best utilize his weapons. And you see how he was throwing so many different packages out there.
yeah,
And
Gruden kept on chirping about that.
Yeah,
about,
Atlanta didn't know what the hell to do. They were on their heels the whole game. They couldn't stop them from man.
Well, the packages are one thing, but I mean, if you look at the week before, Geno was absolutely brutal.
Horrible.
He was
Right.
brutal. You know, you could run any package you want. You know,
comes
if you
down.
don't execute the play, if you throw the ball away, you turn the ball over. It doesn't really matter,
that's
right? So Geno, though, but Geno, 16 for 20. You know, 80%, 3 touchdowns,
turnovers.
no picks.
That's the big thing. dude.
So at the end of the game, you know, us in the suicide pool that had Atlanta, you know, Matty Ice comes down. You know, they
Puts
get
him
that
up.
they get that holding call, which was an absolute gift, no doubt about it, absolute gift. But Matty, they finally punch it in, and now you know you take a deep breath. You know, we think we're in the clear for the suicide.
I
And
thought
now,
the game was over.
And now here
I was
comes
like-
Geno. Here comes Geno. You got to give. I mean, that's 3 game-winning drives the kid has led. You got to give him a lot of credit.
Yeah, that Atlanta, they couldn't stop anything from man. That defense just. It was
I mean,
hard.
I don't know. A lot of stuff bothered me.
They're
with the game.
supposed to be one of the best teams going into this year, right?
Absolutely.
And they just haven't seen it on the field. So.
Not even close. Not even close.
I mean, talk about somebody who might be on the chopping block. Mike
Yeah,
Smith.
absolutely. I would have hired him at
100%.
halftime.
yeah.
Never mind
Yeah.
after. I mean,
100%.
after a couple playoff, early knockouts like versus the Giants,
Right, this
versus
team-
other teams. I
They,
mean,
they win the first round game. You know, the first game they played last year, and then you know they lose again.
and then you
a
think-
game they were in, but again lose.
This
You feel
team's
like-
had expectations now.
last year they finally got over that hump of being like, oh, you know, we got to the championship game, we beat Seattle in our own house, but now, you know, I mean, I know they're pretty banged up, but yeah, I start saying, I mean, they got all this talent around, and you know, what are they doing with it?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
ready
and
to
now
send
and
him
now
back.
they just lost Julio Jones for the season. He coming into the before he was even in the NFL, fractured his foot, had a screw put in, the screw broke, and so now he's out for the year. And Atlanta's in really bad shape. We'll talk about Atlanta and maybe juxtapose them to the Giants a little bit later.
Also,
But so
might lose Roddy White for a couple more weeks than expected as well.
has a hamstring issue. Yeah, Atlanta's going nowhere fast, and especially the Saints undefeated in that division. I mean, the
Yeah,
Saints
it's
they're running away
pretty
with
much
that.
locked
But
up
so
there.
on Monday night, so you had Atlanta, the Falcons losing right Monday
Braves
night,
go down.
and now you have the Braves and the Dodgers out in L.A. And so you know the Braves take a 4-3 lead into the 8th inning. The lights out closer, Craig Kimbrell, in the pen. He's rip roaring to go. He wants the ball. Freddie Gonzalez, the Braves manager, decides he's not going to go with them for the 2-inning save. Yasiel Puig, who I don't care what you think of him. You think he's a jerk or whatever. The kid's
he's a
electric.
phenom.
He's absolutely electric. Leads off with a leadoff double.
How old is he? Is he?
He's Cuban, so we
He
have
probably-
no idea. We have no idea.
They
how
all
old
lie
he
on
is.
their birth certificates.
But,
we learned this years ago.
I'll tell he looks like he's in his prime, whatever age he
Yeah.
is. But so then now here comes Puig leads off. Freddie Gonzalez still doesn't elect to go to Kimbrell. Time runs on second. Mattingly calls for Juan Uribe, who has had some walk-off home runs in the past. He comes in, tries to get the bunt down, misses, fouls the bunt off twice. They give him the hit sign, and what? They hang a slider. He pops
knocks it
one.
out.
5-4 Dodgers win.
That's the best thing
Unbelievable
about
game.
playoff baseball,
Unbelievable
man,
game.
you know.
Yeah, that. Then you have the Red Sox, Tampa Bay going.
Absolutely. The Red Sox, Tampa Bay. Evan Longoria with a huge 3-run home run.
Tied up.
I
I thought that series was over once I saw him up by 3, basically going into the end. You know,
Absolutely.
bottom half of the game, and
And who gets more clutch hits than Evan Longoria, man? Who
Dude,
does?
That kid is everything.
he was the same
man.
guy. It wasn't last year, 2 years ago though, right? He hit the
in
big shot to
2011.
put
Remember
him
that
into the
crazy playoff scenario? He
Right,
hit the
like-
home run down the line.
It was Baltimore playing Boston, and they
Right,
had
right.
to be like it was going on within like 5 seconds of each other.
I mean, he just comes up with clutch hit after clutch hit. But then, you go in, the Dodger closer, in a tie game, Yuhara, well, however you say his name, the Japanese guy, and, who's basically been unhittable all year. He's been absolutely lights out. Now, here comes Jose Louis Vuitton, backup catcher.
I love his
and,
sneakers.
yeah, oh, man, just plants one, right into the Devil Ray tank. Puts one in the Devil Ray tank, and here they go. Boston wound up winning the series last night, but very dramatic game. St. Louis earlier in the day, they beat Pittsburgh to send it to a Game 5, which is actually going on right now. Matt Holliday with a big 2-home run. Cardinals rookie pitcher Waka Flocka.
Waka Flocka.
Yeah, he took a no into the 8th to extend that series. So,
but then
That's incredible.
didn't they? But then Pittsburgh tied it up, right? Or
no,
went
it was
up,
two. It was
Pittsburgh. They were
was
down 2-0, and then
and then
Alvarez
they got
hit
a
the
run.
home run,
Right.
But they couldn't.
And they lost 2-1. But this baseball's been incredible.
Where did the Cardinals come in these pitchers from? By the way, I mean,
Where did
they're
the
just
Cardinals?
Dude, the Cardinals, like, they always do it with mirrors, it seems, right?
You know what they do with? They do with the farm system.
Yeah.
They have 11 rookies on their team. 11 starting on their playoff team.
That's crazy.
This is the first year Matheny's managing, right?
No, I wouldn't
Second
say he
year.
was there last
Second
year.
year. Yeah,
La
LaRussa.
Russa,
Yeah, LaRussa's. They won the World Series.
I mean, you transition from
Yeah, and then he retired.
a Hall of Fame manager in LaRussa to Matheny, and you
don't
don't miss a
skip a
beat. You get rid of Pujols. You don't miss a beat.
Yeah, and a lot of it, you talk about the St. Louis pitchers, they attribute it to Dave Duncan, right? The greatest pitcher coach ever, who maybe he is, but still, the arms they throw out. And now they got Wainwright on the bump tonight in Game 5 against Pittsburgh, Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole, I don't know if you're familiar with him. The kid sits at 100. Kid throws 98, 99, 100 the entire game.
Yeah.
So, should be a very interesting game. But, you got to love the dramatics of playoff baseball. I know we're in an NFL culture now, and baseball.
Playoff baseball is great.
You know what? Baseball's kind of been regionalized. I was listening to the ratings. Like New York is not interested, as a whole.
That's why. Can I have a confession? I miss the Yankees.
Yeah.
Like you kind of miss that little playoff buzz that's around the area, like where people are talking about it.
Agreed.
Sports talk. You kind of.
I love watching playoff baseball when the Yankees are in it, but I haven't really paid attention at all because, right?
Like you said, it's regionalized.
They're not in it. I don't know.
It is regionalized. I mean,
I want to see Boston win.
They were giving the ratings, a huge rating in Boston. Obviously, Boston's a baseball crazy town, but a huge rating in Tampa Bay for that game. The Tampa Bay Stadium was packed. Huge rating there, but. Nationally, it drew like a 3, which is
which is nothing. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's like an average. It's like a bad cable TV show.
Baseball
Sons of Anarchy blows that out of the water.
Baseball misses the Yankees in there too. Trust me.
Well, they always want the big markets.
Well,
in there.
I'll tell you what, baseball is praying for, no doubt about
Boston,
it.
LA.
Boston, LA.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get better than that for baseball. Maybe New York, LA, but obviously Boston, LA would be a huge series.
I don't think I got Oakland, Pittsburgh. I don't know if it's got the same.
Oh my God! Bud Selig is
yeah.
praying that doesn't happen. But talk about known Oakland. Well, who is on that Oakland team?
Like I said, I know that one kid Cespedes.
Yeah.
Other than that,
You got fat Bartolo Colon still
you're
plugging
number one.
along.
You're number one
Unbelievable.
pitcher. And they were up 2-1. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that they're playing tomorrow night for the rubber match, but
Yeah, they actually they were in the same situation last year against Detroit. 2-2. Verlander threw 9-inning absolute gem. So now he goes again on a bump to win.
but he's
to
been
win that
struggling this year
series.
though. He has been the same.
Yeah,
not,
but
up to the same caliber.
Yeah,
as
but
Not
last
during the
called
regular
upon,
season, but
yeah.
he threw seven innings of lights out ball. But actually, and the kid's name escapes me. The kid matched him. He actually went an extra inning. The kid on Oakland, a bunch of no-name guys, and he's actually he's getting a ball in Game 5. So another do or die.
with the regional thing, you never see Oakland ever.
Right.
I mean, national games or anything. I mean, the Dodgers, because they're a pretty popular team. I mean,
Donnie
but like,
Baseball's the manager. He's involved in New York
all these other
sports scene.
teams in San Fran's won it the past couple of years. LA, has signed all these. The Angels have signed all these guys like Pujols and Hamilton. So you know these guys, but Oakland just sits there.
Yeah,
and
Moneyball,
somehow,
man.
yeah, Billy Bean, he's a genius.
Yeah, he really is.
Brad Pitt, handsome.
Is a man crush on something there?
So then, real quick,
Everyone says I look like Brad Pitt.
and we'll get into
Yeah,
it.
I see it.
Oh yeah, who are these people?
You hang
St.
there
Joe's
around
of
the
the
school
Blind.
full of blind, yeah.
Oh, they're reading your face in Braille. That's interesting. But getting back to the to football. Oh well, staying on baseball real quick. Breaking news earlier in the day: Joe Girardi signs out 4 more years
4-year
as
deal.
the Yankee manager.
Yeah.
Rich, as a Yankee fan, what are your thoughts on Girardi?
I like him. He gets knocked being by the book too much, like in the playoffs.
He has the binders, baby.
yeah,
Dude loves the binder.
But who are you going to go get that's better than him right now? That's the way I feel. He's got these guys. Well, I don't know, but
I mean, I thought he did a good job this year.
I thought
if they would have went to the playoffs this year, he's manager of the year. Because I mean, who would they have done it with?
Before the season, nobody thought they were going anywhere.
Because we're trying to get under that 189, right? And
I thought I thought this year he did his best managing job.
Right.
I mean, you lose to Scherer for basically the entire season. Jeter's gone basically the entire season.
A-Rod.
You get Jeter. A-Rod's a no-show. You come with Vernon Wells and Lyle Overbay.
Right.
He held that ship together. I gave him a ton of credit.
They were contenders.
The other
for a
thing,
long time.
an underrated Girardi thing, which I didn't think was particularly adept at early in his Yankee managerial career. He handled the media expertly. He really did. Look at the storylines he had to deal with. The Yankees, CC's not the same.
A-Rod.
All those early injuries.
A-Rod.
Jeter. And
A-Rod.
the circus that is
A-Rod.
Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, God.
How about, when in that Boston series when they throw at A-Rod 4 times, finally hit him, he comes storming out, showing, A-Rod, I don't care about all your nonsense. You're one of my guys.
player.
I got your back. And, so I think, honestly, Girardi had obviously they didn't make the playoffs the second time since 95, which, like you said, you kind of miss it.
Yeah,
you kind of get used to it. But I think this year he's had his best year.
2 years under him, we've missed the playoffs. His first year and this year.
Well, after the first year, what'd they do?
Won the World Series.
Yeah, which is interesting. What did they do in that offseason,
Loaded
though?
up.
They signed
Sabathia,
CC.
Burnett,
They signed
Swisher.
Burnett. They signed Teixeira, right? They signed Teixeira. They went out and spent a ton of money. So,
But then Steinbrenner comes out today saying that they're not giving Cano the 10.
They can't. You
You
can't.
know, I mean, so
you
it's-
cannot give anyone in baseball a 10-year deal unless they're like 23 years old.
No, look at it.
Like the
It blows up in
Longoria.
everybody's face.
Yeah, like the Longoria contract was perfect. Longoria had just come up his first year in the majors. You buy out his arbitration years, pay him, big early, and you have him sealed up from like 23 to 33.
But somebody's going to do it.
10 is too much.
Who?
Yeah, who?
Where's the money?
There'll be a team out there.
Magic Johnson already said the Dodgers aren't doing it, right? The Angels are locked into a terrible, god-awful Pujols contract. Still have
And the
Hamilton
Hamilton
on the hook for
contract,
4 more years. Who? Detroit?
Can't.
Is Detroit paying a second baseman that kind of money?
no.
I don't see it. I don't see it 10 years.
You're right.
I don't
10 years,
see
it. You can't do 10 because it explodes in everybody's face. And
I mean, you've seen. I mean, the run of it. I mean, A-Rod, Pujols. I mean, every guy that signs it, it's just not as
it. Look
productive
at
as
look
as
Mike
thought it was gonna be
Hampton,
worth.
Denny Nagel,
Right.
Kevin Brown. Anyone that
Yeah.
signs a long-term extension to that,
And
it never ends up working out.
Right, and
Almost
what's-
ever.
Cano's 28? 29?
No, he's 31.
31.
He'll be
Yeah.
31 when the season
Wow,
starts
yeah.
next year.
The hell
And that's
outta
also a
here.
shady 31. Just saying.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
right. Absolutely.
And
Told
if you
they
look,
lie on their birch.
Listen, Cano's a
I know the
dynamic
same guy.
player, no doubt about it. But Pujols was the same way in the sense his numbers are trending down.
Right.
Because in this age of testing, there's no no. It's absolutely true. You don't peak at 38 anymore. You peak at 28 now,
Yeah.
and your numbers slowly decline.
Right.
And if you look at Cano's numbers, Cano is absolutely a dynamic player. He's the best second baseman in the game, hands down, no doubt about it. But you cannot sign him to that kind of extension.
Absolutely not.
All right. We're going to come back. We'll talk a little Jets. We'll talk a little Giants. What's
Let's
wrong with
talk
the
some
Giants?
Giants.
Can we fix the Giants?
Everything.
I don't think we can.
Well,
We're experts.
what are our answers?
We are experts.
We'll talk about the Jets. What do the Jets need to do to maybe get them in that playoff mix, vault them to the next level? We'll get into that. Richie's Cowboys had an epic game against the Denver Broncos. We'll get into all that. So a lot of NFL talk coming up. So let's get to our first break. We got Aston, a million miles, and you can check him out at Aston Rock on Twitter. And this is 14A Sports Radio on 15 Minutes of Fame.
MOFE.
Huh!
I like that.
15 minutes of fame. Let's go.
Yo, and welcome back to the 14A Sports Radio program, broadcasted live on 15 Minutes of Fame Radio, streaming on Ustream. Catch us, and if you want to chime in, feel free to call at 201-467-4673. So, fellas, let's get into it. Little NFL talk. Let's start with the unfortunate 0-5 Giants. Nips, you were at the game Sunday against the Eagles.
Yeah,
Giants are right in the game. It's 19-17. Giants, playing probably their best game of the season all around. They scored. Wilson has a touchdown early. They look
they're
like
looking good.
They look like they're at least playing competitive, right? They're in that game.
Vic's out of the game.
And right, Vic pulls up lame on a hammy, which actually, in retrospect, might have been a bad thing for
Right,
the
that's-
Giants.
yeah.
The best thing for
But
the
so
Philly.
then, tell us what was going on in the stadium. Take us into the stadium. What was going on?
You know, I mean, I think the crowd was into it. You know, they were, we're still in on third downs. You know, I mean, the Giants crowd's a little tough. It's a little older crowd, so it's not like, the rambunctious crowd that you're hoping for all the time. But, I mean, they're playing well. No turnovers. The defense is playing pretty solid. I mean, there's some bad plays. I mean, McBride let that pick go right through his hands on that one long
but you
long
feel
play.
like you're actually going to win a game, right? There's a little buzz
I mean, you're right there.
Going.
I mean, and then the fourth quarter hits. And you're just like,
dun, 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 dun.
What the hell happened? And then, and then before you know it, the stadium's half empty. The Giants are down by 15 points, and you're like...
And they stopped serving beer.
Yeah. And I'm like, why am I still watching this game right now?
Unbelievable. Well, what happened is, Eli Manning happened. And Eli Manning, who...
He's not making bad decisions.
According to him.
Well,
but I mean, you can't throw through. The one he clearly got hit in the head, but it was it was still a terrible decision. He throws a ball, leads to immediate Eagle
Eli's
touchdown.
known for that, though.
I mean, he tries to make plays. Is he trying to do too much? I don't know, but whatever he's doing isn't working because he gave them 3 interceptions that led to 17 points, which that was how they lost the game.
Yeah, no, and I mean, Nick's cut the one route off. Cut it short, on the slant pattern where Eli thought he was going to basically, cut it through and get it, and Nick cuts it off, and then that's one pick too.
Right.
Then he gets hit in the head on the other one. The other one was just a bad throw.
And then the Cruz interception, that was a tough play. The dude made a great play on that. The Eagles
he
guy
made a crazy catch.
But
I mean, I think we got to start looking at Gilbride a little too. I mean, he's putting Eli in these positions where he's basically kind of scrambling around a little, looking to make a play, and then he makes the bad play. So it's like, do you maybe simplify it a little, cut it back a little, say, hey, let's just move the ball. We don't need to get 80 yards at a clip.
Right. I agree. I don't think and you know what? You always in the NFL, you always go to the play calling. Like you can blame the play calling all the time, but I think there's some validity to this. It's either the Giants, they're trying to run the ball into the line that gets no push, or they're throwing the ball 80 yards. Like there's no 6-yard slant routes. Which Gilbride
they break them off.
Gilbride, and Myers has been a huge disappointment. He's not a threat down the seam at all. And I think it goes back to that offensive line has not played well. But I think more has to fall on the shoulders of Eli. I mean, Tom Brady, he has a bunch of no-name receivers, right? All his main guys were out, and he's lifting his team. Eli, you know what? He's just not that kind of player. He's not good enough to lift those players. He hasn't anyway. Is he good enough? Maybe, but he absolutely hasn't, and it's very frustrating. And the worst part, I couldn't stand it. He gets on the radio on Monday and he says, "I don't think I'm playing that poorly." What do you mean you're not playing that poorly? You had 3 picks and 3 intentional groundings. You basically cost the team the game.
Only one more quarterback, 1 more picks right now. Right?
Unbelievable. Is there? No, I think he leads the league in turnovers. Absolutely.
They are recordly bad right now. I mean, from the points they let up on defense to the turnovers to everything, every stat you look at, they are. I mean, the Giants' defense in my one fantasy league has 4 points total for the season.
Yeah, they're horrible.
4 points total.
No, if you want to be called elite and you want to be considered an elite quarterback, you're right. You got to make the players around you better and lift your team up and turn the ball over at this rate. It's just not.
And I think that's the one puzzling thing about Eli.
Does.
It's just he
can get so hot.
On these Super Bowl runs where he's like hitting the passes to Manningham over the shoulder 40 yards down the field. And then you see him, throw a ball short or, try to make a silly play and throw it right to the other team. And you're just like, what is he doing? Maybe he has the confidence, which you want to see in the quarterback, but you got to be a little more conscious of, what the turnovers are doing
right now. But obviously it starts ball security. What else can they do though? Get out of this.
Well, look at this. Let me propose you this. So obviously, as Giant fans, Eli had 2 incredible, epic playoff runs. Right? Epic. Can never take that away from him. 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 Lombardi trophies. Can never take that away from him. Take those out.
Yeah.
How good has Eli? And that's a big statement.
Right.
And it's hard to do. You can't take those Super Bowls away from him. Dude won them. Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Take those out. Eli hasn't. He's been an above average quarterback at best. at best throughout the course of his career.
That year they won their first Super Bowl. That was like his fourth or fifth year. That was the year that they're like, if Eli doesn't do it this year, it's time to start.
They were calling
looking.
for him and Coffee.
You know what I'm saying?
Because the year before they would go to Carolina and play, they get their doors blown off in
Right.
Carolina.
That was at home, I thought.
That
That was
was
in Carolina.
Carolina.
So you're right.
Yeah.
Like, he made that incredible run, and now Eli's something a few years down the road, makes another run. Without those runs, you're right. He's average.
Look, I don't think it's time to start calling for Eli's head. I think he's going to be the quarterback, for the foreseeable future. 5, 6, 7 years down the line. I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't. But turnovers you can fix. I feel like. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, he can still make the throws that need to be thrown. I mean, I think
Absolutely.
also. I mean, we're leaving the Giants' defense out of this a little too, and I'm looking at Perry Fuel a little bit here too because. Ever since, if they don't get a pass rush, it seems like their defense has no plan on what to do whatsoever.
Well,
like there's no blitzing, there's no pressure
Well,
whatsoever
if you
on
don't
the
get a
quarterback.
pass rush, you better have a damn good secondary.
Well, how about this too? I mean, and let's turn the figure to Jerry Reese, who is playing linebacker for the New York Giants. In a tradition-rich, linebacking history,
yeah.
Mark Herzlich, great story.
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
kid is not an NFL player.
Right.
You're traded for John Beeson coming off MCL. Sir, who is playing linebacker?
Yeah.
Can we start
I got a
blaming
phone
Jerry
call,
Reese?
But I refuse to play for them.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I'm wishing for the day. We need Chase Blackburn back.
Oh, yeah.
Chase Blackburn. I'm begging for Chase Blackburn back. Chase Blackburn.
I mean, he made some plays.
He made some huge plays, but Chase Blackburn, he was a middle school substitute teacher before the Giants brought him back for that Super Bowl run. He's not a big time player, and I'm begging for him to come back. That linebacking core is a and people say, well, linebackers have been phased out of the NFL. Well. No, they haven't because the Giants don't have any, and their defense stinks.
Right, you still need 3, right?
You
still need at least 3.
You still need somebody. I mean, and you feel like their secondary is like every single year you're talking about secondary injuries, and I mean it's tough injuries. They happen, but I mean whether it's Terrell Thomas or Kenny Phillips in past years.
Now Corey Webster hasn't played.
Corey Webster's out. Stevie Brown went out before the season started. I mean, I like some of the guys they got. Ryan Monday I like a lot. Antro Roll I like a lot.
Will Hill was very active in that game coming back off suspension.
I mean, I love Roll, but I also feel like he can't cover worth a lick. And they put him a lot of times. They line
put him in
on,
the slot. Yeah.
And you let Nick Foles come in and move the ball down the field on you like he's Joe Montana.
Yeah, and now, the Giants defense created a quarterback controversy. If any silver lining, you created a quarterback controversy in Philly because Nick Foles looked like Joe Montana against that Giants secondary.
And I mean, the only receiver Philly has is Deshaun Jackson. So it's like, all right, who else is going to beat us?
Cover him, yeah. Cover him.
I mean, like,
Easier said than done.
But going back to your initial point with the defense, there's absolutely no pass rush, right? There's no pass rush.
Right.
Justin Tuck is a shell of himself. Justin Tuck is done.
Pierre Paul made some plays in the last game.
Pierre Paul, you got to hope he rounds back into form. But Kiwanuka, I feel like he had a little bit of the Joba Chamberlain treatment where he was going position.
Back and forth.
Has never been very good at either of them, really, because he bounced back and forth. Now, is he too old now? Because he hasn't made many plays. The one thing I'll give Jerry Reese credit for, the defensive tackle position has been pretty good. Linval Joseph, Jonathan Hankins came in, second-round draft pick, and made some plays.
Yeah, Cullen Jenkins in there.
Cullen Jenkins was in a mix. Mike Patterson made a couple plays against his former team,
but their D run has been pretty solid.
It's not terrible.
It's the same. They've been getting burned on the pass. I mean, then in the past couple of years, they could keep up with these teams. They could score with them, because they just kept on. They couldn't get a stop, and now. The difference now is that they're turning the ball over on key spots.
Absolutely. And if it doesn't come from the front four, you're not getting it from the linebackers like we spoke about because there's nobody that linebacking core that can rush a passer.
Yeah.
So you're leaving your guys out there on an island.
So let me ask you this. So I asked a question on Twitter, how to fix the Giants. How do you fix the Giants? So how do we fix the Giants? And the one guy responded, he goes, draft Jadeveon Clowney. Which,
sure,
going into the season, you say, oh, well, there's no shot in the world. But now here we're staring down a barrel of Jadeveon Clowney, which could be a blessing in disguise. I mean, you look at Tim Duncan for the Spurs, Andy Luck for the Colts, but the season is the season.
Yeah.
And can you fix him on the fly? Maybe. I think it comes down. I don't think Coughlin has lost his team. I just think this team is not that good.
Well, yeah, I think it's that. I think, like I said before, I don't see the defense having any kind of mentality, I guess I would say. Like when Spagnuolo was there, for the coach for that first Super Bowl, they were going to blitz the hell out of you, and they were coming at you every single time, and you knew it. But with Perry Fuel, I feel like they're playing zone. They're maybe blitzing here and there. There's just no they don't know what to do out there a lot of times, and I feel like maybe it's trying to switch it up a little. Maybe trying to blitz a little more, put a little more pressure on guys. I mean, you're giving up big plays already, so it's like.
Right.
Why just sit back and give up the big plays? Why not go after the guy and hopefully make force a turnover or two?
But look at so you admit your defense sucks. So where it's going to come from if you're going to win games is Eli has to fix his turnover problems, and you got to score points, and you got to score them in bunches, and you got to get to doing that fast, man. Because you still got Cruz out there, right? I mean,
you can't say this team doesn't have talent because it's
right. They have talent in certain positions.
There
again, let me turn the figure to Jerry Reese. Look at that giant. You're talking about scoring points in bunches. Look at that giant offensive line. They have not run the ball. You want to blame the running backs? They are certainly complicit in not being able to run the ball effectively. But look at that offensive line, right? What has Jerry Reese done? David Boss, who they brought in, has never been. They've been better when David Boss hasn't played as an offensive line.
Yeah.
He signed Will Beatty to left tackle to be a franchise left tackle. He doesn't look like he's worth it, right? You lose Chris Snee, an absolute warrior. But he looks like he's on the verge of retirement. He's done. So, where are these, you find offensive linemen late in the draft, the James Brewers of the world. Where are these guys that's stepping in? Jerry Reese has not, and that scouting department has not done a good job of refilling the talent void that's left as these older players, are getting older.
Like I said last week, they got old fast. And you're right, Jerry Reese has to take some of the blame here because he hasn't drafted very well and the team's got no depth, and you're seeing it this year.
All right, real quick. Giants going to Soldier Field against the Chicago Bear team, kind of licking their wounds a little bit from last week. What do we see happening there?
I see. I'm such a homer probably for the Giants. But, the Bears' defense is banged up. Again, they really only have one big weapon on the outside, Brandon Marshall.
How about Alshon Jeffrey had a
up big
yeah.
last week.
His season's looking good so far.
But Cutler looks like he's kind of reverting back to the old Cutler. I know it's on the road. Soldier Field's a tough place to play on short rest. But maybe it's just one of these weird games where the Giants, everybody's basically counting them out now. Maybe they, even though they've been counting out for the past 2 or 3 weeks, I thought they were going to eventually step it up.
Yes or no?
I still got faith in them.
The Giants make this season interesting. Yes or no?
I think they'll win about 7 games.
Rich?
Yeah, they'll make it interesting because nobody else in the division's doing shit either. So if they win tomorrow, the Cowboys and Eagles lose this week. Look.
I think you guys are insane. I think the Giants.
It's
season,
interesting
right? I think the Giants season is absolutely lost. I think they're devoid of talent at key positions, and I think we're on a freight train headed towards Jadeveon.
Sure,
I really do. I legitimately believe that.
I have a problem with betting against the Giants tomorrow night because I don't see them as an 0-6 team, and
but they're not. They're 0-5.
Right. Will they be 0-6? I have a problem betting against them in that respect then. And short week, you never know.
All right. Enough about the shitty team in New York. And surprisingly,
the New York
let's talk about
Jets.
the legitimate team in New York, which I can't believe I'm saying. The New York Jets and the Rex Ryan led Jets. And you know what? You got to give Rex Ryan credit. You know what? He's basically just said, Marty Morningwig, take the offense. I don't want anything to do with it. Right. I'm a defensive coordinator, masquerading as a head coach, essentially. But whatever works, right? Whatever works. He's taking over the defense. Talk about draft picks. I mean, Sheldon Richardson coming all over the place. Mo Wilkerson all over the place. And that New York Jet defense, man, they came to play. Geno Smith looking like a legit quarterback against the Atlanta Falcons. And granted, we spoke about the Atlanta defense, but the kid 16 for 20 took what was there, didn't make any mistakes, and now here come the Jets.
Running back kind of triple-headed monster. Well, I guess Powell and
there's 3 guys. There's no monsters back there.
Triple-headed threat.
Geno absolutely looked great Monday night, but it's easy before we annoying him anything because the week before you seen how horrible he could be.
No one's putting him in Canton, Rich. No one's putting him in Canton.
But that's on the road in Atlanta, tough place to play too. So you got to give him, you got to give credit where credit's due.
That's what I mean. Yeah, absolutely.
I for one, didn't put an ounce of them winning that game on Monday night. And
no.
Carton locked it up 3 months ago that they were going to lose by 30.
Yeah, no, I couldn't be more wrong on the Jets so far this year. And so, what are the Jets? What do they need to do? Or what do they need to continue to do to be in the playoff mix come December? Where do they need to improve? Where do you see them going?
I mean, the opposite of what the Giants. I'm talking about the play calling. I think that's what the greatest thing about Rex is and his team is. They got an identity. They're going to throw those crazy blitzes at you. They got a great defensive line now, so they don't need to blitz as much. Right. I mean, they got Cromartie. I mean, it seems like the other guys, Wilson and those guys, stepped up.
Darren Walls, who actually dropped a big interception that he should have had, but he's played pretty well out of Notre Dame.
You got Landry floating around back there too. So
I mean, D. Miller hasn't been, I guess what you expected of, but yeah, man, I think with the Jets, it's keep that nothing to lose attitude, kind of. Like don't be afraid to throw those trick plays in there or go for risk in certain situations because like you said, nobody thought you'd be here anyway. Why risk it now?
Their defense is good that they're always going to have them close in a game. So Gino, what he has to do is go out there, not turn the ball over, manage a game essentially. And he hates the term game manager, but just don't turn the ball over, and you're going to be in the game. And you're going to steal a couple on these last drives, like Tampa, a penalty gets you the field goal, win the game, right? But
I mean that defense is enough to keep them in a game, and
right.
That's all they got to do.
Then the other side of the coin is too, you can't turn the ball over on when they played New England, he tried to make a play there. They could have walked out of New England with a win if you don't turn the ball over. He's trying to do too much in that spot, so he's just got to continue to grow also, and you watch out.
I think. Talking about the Giants and talking about the Jets, I think it starts on the lines on both sides of the ball. Willie Colon, huge addition at the guard spot. Austin Howard's playing very well at right tackle for the Jets. You still got Brick at the left, who hasn't been a Pro Bowl caliber, but obviously a very good player. And I think it comes down to the line. Maybe the Jets might have the best defensive line of football. And their offensive line, has given, they don't have dynamic. David Wilson is more explosive than Bilal Powell or Mike Goodson or any of those guys. But when the line gives you that push, and you have a seam, right. These professional running backs are taking advantage of it. And I think right there, the lines in the trenches on both sides of the ball, where the Jets are excelling and the Giants are completely incompetent on both sides of the ball.
It all starts up front. Yeah.
And I mean, they're playing another 0-4 team. I mean, the Steelers, who have the same issues at line. I mean,
the Steelers are in rough shape.
This game's beyond interesting.
I mean, I I like the Jets this week.
As crazy as it seems, I said I was going to bet against the Jets every week. That was my initial prognosis of the season. And now here we are, the NFL. But so talking about the NFL, one of the epic games of certainly going to be one of the epic games of this season.
Oh, Jesus.
A very entertaining, great game to watch.
Maybe the greatest fantasy game of all time.
Oh, unbelievable. Richie's Cowboys.
Were there defense?
The Denver Broncos. Yeah.
They're
that's
7-on-7.
That's the NFL now, man. No defense. You have the Cowboys going toe-to-toe with Denver, matching them score for score. Romo and Dez putting on a show. And then
an absolute slugfest, right?
And then Romo gets the ball with a couple minutes left,
and the mistake comes.
Tie game, could make a play, and what happens? Rich, now let me ask you this: as a Cowboy fan, and you've been through all the Romo stuff, the botched extra point against the Giants to knock the Giants out in the Super Bowl, the miss to Miles Austin, right, and countless others. Are you sitting there saying Romo's going to win us this game? Or let's just take this game to overtime, or Romo's going to make a mistake, we're going to lose this game. What's the mentality going in? We're sitting there watching that game right there.
When you're watching it go back and forth like that, right, the first thought going through your head is first big mistake, lose the game. And then history would have – you got a gut feeling as a Cowboy fan, Romo's going to make the biggest mistake.
But in that game, you're not sitting there saying – last team with the ball is going to win this game. That's not a thought. You're saying first big mistake. Huh?
First big mistake.
Yeah. And it wasn't coming from Peyton.
Right. Because Dallas somewhere along the line. You got to get off Romo though for the interception happened. The man threw for 500 some odd yards. Yeah. 4 or 5 touchdowns. Yeah. Right. Get off. You got to make a stop somewhere along the line. You got it. You're paid to stop an offense. No matter if it's Peyton Manning and all his weapons. You got to make a stop somewhere. You're at home. You got to make that big stop.
Isn't that game almost like the summary of Romo whole career.
Unbelievable.
You know, he does so much good.
Right, the poor guy.
But then everybody remembers him for that one
miss,
play. That
he has
one
great
bad
numbers
play,
every year, right? And then it comes down to one game, one drive. If, you know what, the rest of the team played as well around him all season and game, we wouldn't be in those spots.
Well, but to jump on Nipsey's point, that game really was a microcosm of Romo.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right? You know, he plays unbelievable, lights out, and then that
Here
one
it
spot,
is. Yeah.
you know,
Next
he
turnover
makes a
loses the
mistake.
game. You know,
There
it's,
it is.
I don't know.
Did anybody see them standing in there and slugging it out with them like that? Was crazy.
Unbelievable. No, and you know what was interesting? I was working during that game, and a guy was asking, you know, after the ones, he was saying, you know, trying to figure out his bets, and he's, you know, should I take Denver? Should I take Dallas? And I was like, take the over. I didn't even ask what the over was. I said, what's the over? And it was, I think, like 53, 54, 56 maybe. It was somewhere in that range, somewhere in that mix. And
I think they.
Jesus, Denver almost covered it by themselves.
Right, I didn't take the over. I had Dallas +7, and then I was gonna put in the reverse there right before 4 with the over, and I'm like, nah, you know, I just stay with the 7, and that.
Well, you still covered.
Yeah, but you know, it's better to win more money.
How about talking about gambling? My buddy, I was out with my buddy, and he's like this. I didn't catch it, but then it was all over the internet. So Ohio State played Northwestern.
This is crazy, yeah.
Okay, Ohio State plays Northwestern. Slugfest game. Lot of credit to Northwestern. Hung in there the whole game. Finally, Northwestern scores a go-ahead touchdown. They go up 4 points. The kickoff. Northwestern gets the ball. Very little time left, so they need a touchdown. They're on their own. They're in their own territory at like the 15 or the 20. So they need to make a play to win the game, obviously. So they run the old hook and ladder. They throw a little out. The Northwestern receiver catches it, and they start lateraling the ball. Now it's a 4-point game. The line is 6.5. 6.5 points. Northwestern starts lateraling it across the field. Lateral comes back, fumble. The ball starts bouncing towards the end zone. If the ball gets kicked out of the end zone for the safety, it's a 6-point game. The line is 6.5.
You get hooked.
Right? You get the hook, Northwestern covers. What happens? Ohio State falls on the ball for a touchdown in the end zone, win by more than 6.5, right? You know how much money Vegas lost? Guess how much money Vegas lost?
I would split it.
I'll say $1 million.
$100 million.
Whoa.
Because everyone
Luckily, they have it.
Everyone had Ohio State on that game. Everyone had Ohio State. The biggest backdoor cover of all time. Vegas lose $100 million. And you know it was great if you go watch the video. As soon as it happened, Musburger, who's doing the game with Herb Street,
yeah.
he's all over it. He knows exactly.
Yeah,
He sees them
infamous
cover.
for that.
He goes, "Oh, and the Ohio State fans are happy." But there are some people in Vegas that don't like that one. So he was all over. He was all over the spread. He knew exactly what was going on. So yeah, no,
He's
unbelievable
for throwing
backdoor.
that in there
Yeah,
during games.
that and being creepy as hell on the hot chicks.
Yeah. I can't
But
blame him.
You got to be famous for something, right?
Hey,
All right, cool. All right,
She's single now, right?
yeah,
They broke up?
Yeah, they broke up. You know what?
did she
Where's
big
my
time him?
phone?
I'm sure she did. Right?
Uh,
I'm sure she did. Did you ever see?
Yeah.
You know what? I forget the girl's name, but one of the things I always remember. One of the she was like she went on Howard Stern just as like a 17-year-old hot girl, right? And then wound up going being like a Playboy playmate and blah 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 on cover of Playboy. But before she did that, she was like, "I love my boyfriend. I'll never break up with my boyfriend." Blah blah blah. Goes does the Playboy thing before she goes and does the
Bangs
Playboy
the
thing.
photographer.
Howard Stern goes, "The next time I see you, there's no shot in the world you're going to be with this guy. None. 0, 0, 0. And she's like, no. Comes back 3 months later after all the Playboy things. Where's the
know his
boyfriend?
name.
Oh, I got rid of him.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
So that's
Don't
how
know
that
his
rolls.
name. No, did you see the new commercial with Catherine Webb? Also?
Oh yeah, the Hardys.
Oh my god.
No. Oh, she did the Hardys
Oh yeah.
with the burger thing?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to have to Google that during the break.
All right.
All right. And while I Google that, the audience will be listening to The Scandals, a Bayonne band who's
Oh,
doing it
nice.
nice. Yeah.
Homegrown.
Bayonne kids. Yeah, doing it very well. So The Scandals.
We're not the only talented ones in town.
Hey.
huh?
Yeah. They got some game. They got some game.
They're all right.
Yeah. All right. So, let's go with The Scandals All-Nighters. And you can follow them at The Scandals on Twitter. And we are 14A Sports Radio. You can hit us up at 201-467-4673. 14A Sports Radio on 15 Minutes of Fame.
G-Man. 15 minutes